Heartwarming revelation. Maid discovers the incredible truth about the guest who owned the hotel. Maria swept the last of the dust from the elegant armchair, the sun filtering through the window, casting delicate patterns on the carpet of the empty suite. She paused, her heart pounding as she caught sight of Mr. Thompson, a well-dressed man who had been living at the Maplewood Hotel for months. Whispered inklings of his past intrigued her. There were snatches of phone conversations that hinted at pride, loss, and a fierce commitment to family. But as she studied him, she saw the shadow that clung to him like a second skin, a hidden sorrow that mirrored her own struggles. Every day, Maria cleaned the luxurious rooms of the hotel under the weary weight of motherhood. Ethan and Luna relied on her, and she fought tooth and nail for them, scrubbing floors and dusting chandeliers while dreaming of a brighter future. But as the leaves turned and autumn's chill settled in, the hotel grew eerily quiet. Staff reductions loomed over her, and the thought of losing her job sent tremors through her heart. How would she care for her children without that paycheck? One afternoon, as she tidied up the lobby, she overheard her coworker, Sarah, in a heated argument with a landlord who was about to evict her. Maria's heart raced. She couldn't let a friend face such despair. Without hesitation, she gave Sarah her last paycheck in cash. It was a small act, but enough for her friend to buy a few days' grace. Little did she know how this gentle kindness would change the trajectory of their lives. Weeks passed, and the hotel's fate twisted tighter around them. Ethan and Luna painted a world full of colors in her mind, their laughter a symphony of hope, and one evening as Maria locked up the suite, she caught Mr. Thompson's eye. Their conversation began with simple pleasantries, but swiftly delved deep into their shared struggles. "I've watched you," he confessed, his baritone voice cracking slightly. "You're stronger than most people I know." Then came the revelation, a bombshell dropping heavy in the room. He was not just a guest but the former owner of the hotel, a retired veteran struck by the economic claws of fate. "This hotel was once a home," he said, his eyes reflecting the light of 1,000 memories. He longed to restore it, not for himself, but to breathe life back into Maplewood, a place that once thrived with laughter and joy. Before they could gather their thoughts, the current owner announced plans to sell the building to the highest bidder, a ruthless businessman with no heart for community. Anger ignited within Maria. She rallied her co-workers and the townspeople, igniting a fire of resistance among them. "We can't let this happen. We can't stand by while they take our home away," she pleaded, her voice rising with urgency. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Hope began to blossom, yet chaos reigned as word spread of an impending auction to sell the hotel. Maria laid awake at night, chest tight, reflecting on what it meant to stand for something larger than herself. With unwavering resolve, she found herself standing before the community center, her children's future woven into every word. But as fate would have it, whispers of betrayal echoed around her that night. The very foundation of their fight threatened to crumble as hidden truths surfaced, leaving Maria wondering, could they truly defeat the shadows of neglect, or were they simply fighting a losing battle? The night air buzzed with tension as Maria stepped out of the community center, the voices of her neighbors swirling like leaves in a storm. They had promised to rally, to walk beside her, but she couldn't shake the icy tendrils of doubt creeping into her mind. Had her faith been misplaced? Shadows lurked in the corners of her heart, and she could feel their weight pressing down on her. Standing in front of the weathered oak tree that marked the edge of the Maplewood grounds, she looked up at the flickering lights in the hotel windows. Each one held a memory, a laugh, a tear. As the wind rustled softly through the branches, Maria recognized that the fight ahead was not just for the hotel, but for her children's right to a stable future, something she would never let go without a fight. The next morning, she found herself back at the hotel, broom in hand, yet her spirit felt heavier than usual. On the surface, the hotel looked the same but felt different, as if it too understood the impending loss. As she swept, her mind drifted back to Mr. Thompson. Maybe he could shed light on the truths that loomed over their heads. Taking a deep breath, she made her way to his suite, heart racing at the thought of a partnership. Knocking softly, she was relieved when he opened the door with a friendly demeanor that felt like a warm hug. "Maria," he said, "I was hoping to see you." His eyes, usually filled with a sort of guarded wisdom, now sparkled with a flicker of hope. "Have you thought more about what we talked about? This is our chance." Taking a hesitant step inside, Maria nodded. "I think we need to plan something solid. If we can gather more support, maybe we can convince the town council to reconsider the sale." Mr. Thompson's brow furrowed, and he sighed heavily. "They see the hotel as simply a property, not a community hub. But if we show them the heart that still beats within these walls—" His voice trailed off, then his expression shifted to contemplation. "I think we also need to dig into the history, find out why this hotel means so much to people. There are stories locked away, Maria, stories that might just bring a resurgence of passion." They spent hours poring over old news clippings and photographs, uncovering tales of family reunions, weddings, and dreams whispered in the glow of candlelight. Each article pulled them closer to the vibrant life buried under dust and neglect. As they pieced together the hotel's history, Maria felt a light ignite in her heart. The community was woven into its very walls. But as excitement began to simmer, a knock at the door startled them, pulling them back to reality. It was Sarah, eyes wide and frantic. "Maria? You wouldn't believe this," she said, catching her breath. "I just heard that the new owner is planning something huge for the auction." Maria's heart raced as Sarah continued. "They're trying to buy out some of the local businesses to make way for a resort or something. And if they succeed, the hotel might just be the beginning." Fear entwined with her hope, and she felt the weight of the fight ahead. "What do we do now?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. The urgency crystallized. They needed to act fast. Would their efforts be enough to combat such a powerful foe? As they gathered their resolve, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that this fight was about more than just saving the hotel. It was about standing against a tide that threatened to swallow everything they held dear. And in that moment, she understood. The battle had only just begun. But what if the very foundation of their fight held secrets that could shatter everything they believed? As the afternoon sun streamed through the dusty hotel windows, Maria felt the heaviness of reality crash down on her. The three of them, Maria, Mr. Thompson, and Sarah, sat huddled around the old dining table, their papers scattered like fallen leaves. The urgency of their mission pressed on Maria's chest. Every word Sarah had spoken echoed in her mind. Time was running out, and their stories could be the only thing between the town and a devastating change. "We need to mobilize everyone," Maria declared, her voice shaking slightly. "If we can get the community talking, if they understand what's at stake," she raised her chin defiantly, "it might be enough." Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully. "We need to share those stories we uncovered. But we need a way to reach them, to make sure everyone feels the connection to this place." Sarah was bouncing on her feet, her eyes brightening. "What if we organize a community event? Something big, an open house at the hotel. We can invite everyone, share the history, and remind them why this spot matters." As the words tumbled out of Sarah's mouth, Maria's heart swelled with possibility. That could work. They could create an experience, something that made everyone emotional about what was at risk. Together, they brainstormed ideas, laughter mixing with excitement as they envisioned the event. Maybe we can have local musicians play. And food, a potluck, Sarah suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. I can reach out to my neighbors, Mr. Thompson added, and maybe we can get some old hotel staff involved too. They all have stories to share. With a plan taking shape, the trio felt a sliver of hope pierce the cloud of anxiety around them. Maria's mind was racing, flashing with images of families dressed in their best for celebrations held in a hotel, children running through halls, and couples sharing intimate moments over candlelit dinners. This wasn't just a building. It was a sanctuary of happiness for so many. As they dove deeper into planning, Maria's phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She pulled it out to find a text from an unknown number. I know who you're dealing with. Meet me at the diner. It's about the hotel. A chill raced down her spine. Her mind spun with possibilities. Who was this person? Could they be a potential ally or a spy for the other side? The urgency hit her again. I have to go, she said, her voice grave. Go where? Sarah asked, frowning. Maria took a breath, feeling the weight of her decision pressing on her. I need to find out more about the new owner. I think they might be more connected to the hotel than we realize. Mr. Thompson placed a firm hand on her arm. Careful, Maria. This could be a trap. I know, she replied, her determination blaring in her voice. But I can't ignore it. If there are secrets about this place, we need to uncover them now, before it's too late. As she stepped outside, the warm air wrapped around her, but her heart felt as cold as ice. She would face whatever awaited her, armed with the knowledge that she had her community backing her up. This fight was more than just hers. It belonged to all of Maplewood. But as she walked toward the diner, a thought clawed at her. What if the secrets she was about to unveil could change everything, not just for the hotel, but for her and her family? The weight of the unknown loomed large in front of her, and with each step, she felt the pull of an answer that might forever alter their lives. The diner came into view like an oasis, with its flickering neon sign, and the comforting sounds of sizzling bacon and clinking dishes spilling out into the street. Maria could feel her heart pounding in her ears, every step heavy with anticipation. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself as she pushed through the door. Inside, the diner was bustling. Familiar faces greeted her: Tina, the waitress who had served her countless meals, and Mr. Jenkins, the old man who sat in the corner booth every day, nursing his coffee as he read the paper. The scent of fresh pie wafted through the air, and for a moment, the warmth of the diner wrapped around her like a hug. But she wasn't here to reminisce. Her eyes quickly scanned the room, searching for the source of the mysterious text. And there he was. A man in a worn leather jacket sat at the booth farthest from the door, his brow furrowed as he looked over a stack of papers. He caught her eye and gestured for her to come over. "Are you Maria?" he asked, his voice low but urgent. "Yeah, that's me," she replied, sliding into the booth, her stomach twisting. "You said you know something about the hotel." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "I do, but this isn't just about the hotel. It's about the owner, and he is not who you think he is." Her pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" The man hesitated, then pointed to the papers in front of him. "I've been doing some digging. The new owner is tied to some pretty shady deals. If they push through with their plans for the hotel, it'll destroy everything we know about this town. That place, it's built on stories that matter." Maria's heart sank. "What kind of deals?" "Land development," he replied. "They want to tear it down and build a commercial complex. They're hiding behind the history of the hotel, but they'll bulldoze it all in a heartbeat for profit." Her mind raced. How could this be happening? The hotel was heritage, a gathering place filled with emotions, memories, and love. But what can we do? The man slid the papers across the table, revealing blueprints and contracts. "We need to act fast. If we want to save the hotel, we have to show the community what it really means. I think your event you have the chance to rally everyone together. Maria felt a surge of determination. We can call out the truth. We have to. He nodded, but then his expression turned serious. But listen, Maria, these people aren't just going to back down. They'll fight back. Be careful who you trust. Trust? It's hard to trust anyone right now, she admitted, thinking of all the hidden agendas swirling around the hotel. As she pondered the weight of the revelation, a flash of steel caught her eye by the edge of the booth. The man leaned back, his gaze suddenly darting toward the entrance. Maria turned and saw another figure stepping through the door, their presence cutting through the chatter of the diner like a knife. It was the new owner. She felt her heart drop. What did he want? Did he know about the meeting? Did he already have a plan to silence anyone who spoke out against him? Their eyes locked, and in that brief moment, the tension in the air thickened. Maria knew then this was just the beginning. The fight was on, and stakes had risen much higher than she anticipated. Her mind raced with questions as she focused back on the man across the table. What do we do now? As the new owner approached, Maria felt a surge of resolve. Whatever it took, she would fight for the soul of the hotel. But would she be able to protect her loved ones in the chaos that was sure to come? Maria's heart raced as the new owner made his way through the bustling diner. With each step, he seemed to loom larger, the air thickening with an unspoken threat. His confident stride radiated an unsettling calm that made her instincts scream. Maria, the man in the leather jacket whispered, snapping her back to reality. Stay focused. We can't let him know we're onto him yet. I'm not afraid of him, she replied, though her voice wavered slightly. The owner reached their table, pulling a sly grin, his eyes ice-cold. Well, if it isn't the little activist. What brings you to my establishment? He said, a mockery lacing his tone. Just having a chat with my friend here, Maria replied, trying to project confidence. Oh, I see. You must be the friend I've been hearing about. Quite the community organizer, aren't you? His gaze flicked toward the papers spread across the table: maps, contracts, evidence. Mind if I sit? Before she could answer, he slid into the booth, invasive and overbearing. The man beside her stiffened but kept his composure. Mind telling me what you're discussing? He leaned in too close, his breath carrying the smell of cheap cologne. Maria's throat tightened. Just ideas for an upcoming event. You wouldn't be interested. He chuckled. You underestimate how much I care about this town's charm. After all, I'm the man restoring it to its former glory, right? Her stomach churned at his words. Restoring? More like destroying. You're not preserving anything, you're wiping it out. For a moment, a flicker of irritation crossed his features, but he quickly regained his composure. It's business, dear. Nothing personal. If you can't see that, then I suggest you look a little closer. She felt the weight of his gaze. It was unsettling, like he could reach into her and untangle all her thoughts. And what about the stories tied to the hotel? The memories and the people? He waved her off, as if swatting away a pesky fly. What stories? People will adapt. Progress waits for no one. Just imagine the opportunities we can bring. Your quaint little event won't matter when the checks start rolling in. Maria felt anger flare, a heat pooling in her chest. You think you can buy our history? Our community? It means more than money, more than you'll ever understand. A hardened smile grew on his face. Is that so? Well, my dear, we'll see how much they care when I present my plans. Enjoy your chat. He stood up, brushing his hands against his jacket as he walked away. Regaining her breath, Maria turned to the man in the leather jacket. He thinks he can intimidate us. We can't let that happen. I believe you're right, he said, his eyes narrowing slightly. But we need more than determination. We need a plan. What do you propose? Let us gather all the stories, all the sentiments tied to that hotel, he replied. Every voice counts. We'll turn this into a movement. The urgency washed over Maria like a cool wave. She was ready to share the beauty and history of the hotel, to ignite a fire in the community. As the thought surged through her, something in the pit of her stomach twisted again, unfurling a thread of doubt. Are you sure we can do this? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The man studied her, his gaze steady. We have to. Otherwise, we'll lose more than a building. We'll lose a part of ourselves. In that moment, Maria understood. They had to fight, but the challenge was cavernous. The stakes were high. As they discussed strategies, her mind flickered to her loved ones. What if the new owner retaliated? What if standing up put them at risk? With determination surging through her, she clenched her fists. Whatever it took, they would protect their home. But as the diner buzzed around them, one thought lingered. Would their efforts pull the community together, or tear them apart? Outside, the night darkened, and Maria knew the road ahead would be treacherous. The battle for the heart of the hotel had just begun, and she would need every ounce of courage to see it through. And then she wondered what secrets lay buried within those walls. Waiting to be discovered? Maria's fingers danced nervously over the table as her heart thumped in her chest. The conversation had flickered with tension, leaving a trail of uncertainty hanging in the air. She could still feel the chill of the new owner's gaze, an icy brand that lingered. Let us meet tomorrow. We can organize a community meeting, the man in the leather jacket suggested, his voice low but resolute. We need everyone on board, from local business owners to families who cherish this hotel. Yeah, Maria agreed, forcing her tone to sound confident even as doubts gnawed at her. But what if he gets wind of our plans? He'll try to squash us before we get started. Exactly why we need to act fast. Knowledge is power, he replied, an edge of excitement sparking in his eyes. The more stories we gather, the stronger our voice becomes. It brings emotion into the fight. For the first time, Maria felt a glimmer of hope piercing through her anxiety. She imagined what it would be like to unify her town against the owner. A thought struck her. Stories. Personal stories. Those precious memories tied to the hotel. What if we create a project? She said, her voice picking up momentum. Invite the community to share their favorite memories of the hotel? Maybe even a storytelling night to celebrate what we are fighting for. That's brilliant, he replied, a grin spreading across his face. People love to share their experiences, especially if it means standing up for something that matters. Plans started swirling in her mind. Her fingers, now feeling brave, reached for her phone. One after another, she tapped names of her neighbors, friends, and local heroes who had stories to share. It wasn't just about the hotel. It was about preserving their culture, their shared history. Let us reach out to the schools too, she suggested. The younger generation needs to understand why this fight is important. We can bring them in to share their families' connections to the hotel. As her enthusiasm bloomed, so did her doubts. What if these stories weren't enough? What if the new owner had too much power? She took a deep breath, reminding herself of the warmth in the diner, the laughter from old friends, and the timeless stories that had shaped her community. Okay, so tomorrow? She asked, excitement battling with fear. Tomorrow, he confirmed, his sincerity washing over her. As they rose from the booth, the door swung open with a jingle. A gust of cold air enveloped them, and Maria shivered. Outside, the moon glowed brightly, almost as if it were watching over her. She took a step forward, the chill rushing over her skin, but it felt invigorating. Just then, the corner of the street caught her eye. An elderly man was slowly approaching, leaning heavily on his cane, the gray in his hair telling stories, as vivid as any the hotel held. Maria's heart tugged at her, sensing the potential in every person passing by. "Let us talk to him," she murmured, glancing back at her companion. "Great idea, but do you think he'd be interested?" "We won't know unless we ask," Maria replied, determination blazing in her chest. They walked over, and she felt the warmth of a smile pulling across her face as she introduced herself. Could this man be a bridge to the stories they needed? She hoped so. As they chatted, he responded warmly, but she noticed shadows in his eyes, like echoes of a time long gone. What memories lay hidden in him, waiting to resurface? With every tale he shared, Maria felt the momentum building. The possibility of gathering these voices felt more tangible, more real. People were hurting, yes, but they were also hopeful. Standing there, heart racing, she nurtured a small thought. Would it be enough to rally the community? As the man shared tales of the hotel from years past, Maria felt a stirring in her soul, a force growing within her, ready to ignite something big. But just as the conversation deepened, a shadow crossed her mind. What if they uncovered a truth about the hotel that could change everything? Would the stories be enough to propel them forward, or would they reveal secrets best left buried? The old man's voice wavered as he spoke, a soft tremor lacing each memory he shared. He spoke of candlelit dinners, families rejoicing during summer afternoons, and children running up and down the polished wooden stairs. Maria hung on every word, capturing snapshots of joy that filled the hotel's walls. In those days, he reminisced, the hotel was alive with laughter. People came to celebrate life, not to escape it. Maria's heart swelled at the weight of those words. She could picture the laughter echoing in the halls, the sound of clinking glasses celebrating milestones. But even as she smiled, a knot tightened in her stomach. She had learned the hard truth: not all stories are happy endings. What about the owner? She ventured carefully, gauging his reaction. What type of man was he? Did he care about the hotel and the community? The old man's smile faded for just a moment, replaced by a flicker of something deeper: regret. He loved this place. It was his pride and joy, he finally said, but the hesitation in his tone told Maria there was more. Though, at the end, not everyone saw it that way, he continued quietly. There were threats. Those who wanted to tear it down. Maria leaned in, the chill creeping in her bones replaced by curiosity. Tear it down? Who would want to do that? He shook his head slowly. Greed can be a powerful motivator. Investors see properties as money, not as memories. The gravity of his words weighed heavily on her. The fight she envisioned was rising in urgency. It wasn't just a hotel, it was a battleground for their shared history, a monument for the stories fading in time. Can you help us? We're gathering stories, so we can fight back, she asked, her voice steady, filled with hope. Your stories are important. They matter to us, to this community. The old man looked at her, and for a moment the shadows in his eyes glimmered with something different: resolve. If you want our stories, then you must collect them, right? He said, leaning closer, his breath warm with meaning. Some truths are powerful, but they can also hurt. People hide their pain. What do you mean? He glanced around, ensuring they were still alone. Not every tale is one to be shared in celebration. Some are filled with darkness. There's a history here you might not be prepared for. Please, Maria urged. Even if it's hard, we want the truth. It's the only way forward. He hesitated, then nodded slowly. If you're sure, then listen. There's a legend about this hotel, a tale hidden away. As the old man began to weave the legend of the hotel, a shiver ran down Maria's spine. Each word pulled her deeper into a web of mystery. Was the hotel's curse linked to its founder? What secrets lay wrapped in the very stories she aimed to uncover? With each moment, the stakes grew higher, and Maria realized the fight was no longer just about preserving memories, it was about uncovering the truth, no matter how dark it might be. As dawn approached, casting silvery light across the windows, Maria's resolve intensified. She didn't just want stories. She wanted to reclaim the narrative. Yet deep inside, fear churned. What if those truths put her community at even greater risk? When the man concluded his tale, his eyes danced with an urgency that mirrored her own. "You must know the past to protect your future," he warned, his voice a whisper. Would Maria have the courage to face what lay ahead, or would some stories bubble to the surface best left hidden? Maria felt a rush of determination as the early morning sun poured through the dusty windows. Her heart raced, but it was not just fear. It was a fire igniting within her. She was ready to face whatever lay ahead, ready to embrace the stories hidden in the shadows of the hotel. "Can you tell me more?" she asked, her voice firm. What was this legend about? The old man took a deep breath, as if preparing himself. "They say the hotel was built on a piece of land that held secrets long before the first brick was laid. The founder, a man named Samuel, was rumored to have made a terrible bargain. In exchange for prosperity and success, he promised to protect the hotel's legacy at a cost." "What kind of cost?" Maria leaned in closer, captivated. The old man's eyes clouded with sadness. "They say some families who stayed here paid the price. Their happiness turned into despair. It was as if the hotel itself demanded a toll." Each laugh echoed with the cries of those who suffered. And, in return, the building thrived. Maria's stomach twisted. The laughter she had dreamed of now held a bitter edge. But why did no one do anything? Why didn't they fight back? He shrugged, his gaze reflecting years of quietly held pain. Fear of the unknown keeps people silent. Sometimes it's easier to forget the dark than to confront it. They thought it was just bad luck, or perhaps a streak of misfortune. The concept of a curse is hard to digest, but when you care deeply, sometimes it's easier to look away. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted, heavy with unspoken urgency. Maria's thoughts raced. "I need to find out more," she stated, with a newfound resolve. "If we're going to save this hotel, we need to gather every story. We need to shine a light on the darkness." The old man nodded, a flicker of hope igniting in his expression. "There's more. You'll need to speak to others. There are whispers of an old journal, hidden within the walls of the hotel. It contains the accounts of those who experienced the truth firsthand." "The journal?" Maria's pulse quickened. "Where can I find it?" He gestured toward the shadowy halls beyond. "Search the attic. It's said to be buried under the remnants of memories long forgotten. But beware, seeking this journal might awaken more than just feelings. It could rekindle what was never put to rest." Maria swallowed hard. Every part of her screamed to step back, to avoid what lurked in the shadows. Yet another part, the part fighting for the community, for the stories lost in time, pushed her forward. "I'll do it," she stated, firmer this time. "I owe it to everyone who has loved this place." As she turned to leave, the weight of the old man's gaze lingered behind her. "Remember, Maria, some stories are not merely tales. They bear the weight of hearts and souls. Approach them with care, and they will guide you." Once in the hallway, the air felt thick and alive. Every creak of the floorboards whispered secrets. Sweeping her hands along the walls, she imagined the laughter, the joy, and yes, the sorrow embedded deep within those very boards. Could she truly uncover the truth? Would the stories she collected unite her community or tear it apart? As she climbed the stairs to the attic, the narrow beams of light flickered like starlight, guiding her path. What awaited in that dusty space, buried under memories, was unknown. With every step closer, the echo of her heart grew louder. Would she find the journal and its secrets? And if she did, would it lead to salvation or deeper sorrow? The door to the attic loomed ahead, daring her to open it. What truths would the journal reveal, and at what cost? Maria stood before the attic door, her heart pounding in rhythm with her thoughts. She hesitated for a moment, grasping the tarnished handle as if it were a lifeline. What if she opened this door and found something too haunting to bear? Taking a deep breath, she pushed the door open. It creaked loudly, announcing her arrival into the deserted space. Dust floated lazily in the thin rays of sunlight that pierced through grimy windows, illuminating scattered memories that had long since settled into silence. The attic was cramped, filled with old furniture draped in white sheets like ghosts waiting for the light. Boxes that hadn't been touched in years lined the edges, and cobwebs hung from the rafters like forgotten dreams. With every step, the floorboards groaned under her weight, as if protesting against her intrusion. Maria moved slowly, her eyes scanning the room. A pang of sadness struck as she considered the forgotten lives that had once filled this space with joy and laughter. She recalled the old man's words about the connections of the past, and a sense of duty washed over her. She needed to uncover the truth for them, for herself, and for the community she loved so deeply. What am I even looking for? She muttered to herself, more to break the silence than to find an answer. As she rummaged through the boxes, the contents felt foreign and familiar all at once. Old photographs, letters yellowed with age, and various trinkets told tales of lives lived. She ran her fingers over a delicate porcelain vase, its surface chipped, but still beautiful. Each item felt like a thread weaving the hotel's history. Finally, her fingers brushed against something different. A leather-bound journal, weathered and worn, rested at the bottom of a box. Heart racing, she pulled it out, the weight of it both comforting and daunting. Could this journal hold the answer she sought? With trembling hands, Maria opened it. The pages were filled with elegant but faded handwriting. She scanned the first few lines, her heart sinking as she read about daily life in the hotel, tales of joy interlaced with ominous mentions of guests who had disappeared under mysterious circumstances. The further she read, the more entangled she became in the lives of the families described within. Personal stories of love, laughter, and loss spilled off the pages, each line resonating deeply with her. One entry detailed a young couple who fell in love in the hotel, only to be torn apart by an inexplicable sadness that loomed over them. As she turned the pages, a familiar name caught her eye: Samuel. What she discovered next sent chills down her spine. The journal revealed how everyone had known about his dark bargain, yet still chose to stay. They cherished their moments in the hotel, ignoring the shadows that crept closer with each passing day. Tears welled in Maria's eyes. The truth was painful yet liberating. These were lives intertwined with her own, suffering under the weight of a deal made long before they had ever arrived. Suddenly, the attic felt colder. A shiver raced down her spine as she noticed a shadow pass across the far wall, fleeting but distinct. Her breath quickened. Was she truly alone? With the journal clutched tightly to her chest, Maria stood at a crossroads. Would she continue to unearth more of these haunting truths, even if it meant stirring the pain that lay dormant? Would the stories she wrote illuminate the darkness or expose wounds that were too raw to heal? As the weight of her choice settled in, she realized the journey had only just begun. What would she reveal about Samuel's legacy, and how would it affect those who had loved the hotel? The morning sun washed over the Maplewood Hotel, breaking through the shadows that had long clung to its walls. Maria stood at the entrance, fresh resolve washing over her like a wave. With the journal in hand, and the weight of its secrets pressing heavy on her heart, she understood the true battle was not just for the hotel, but for the stories of its people. Gathering her strength, she stepped into the lobby where the familiar scents of fresh coffee and polished wood mingled. A sense of urgency propelled her forward. Today was the day they would gather the community. They had to rally together. Their voices united could shake the very foundations of greed threatening their sanctuary. As Maria walked the hallways, memories of laughter and warmth danced around her, igniting hope within. She envisioned families coming together, each sharing their stories, reliving moments that defined their lives in the hotel, the weddings, reunions, even the quiet, sweet whispers of guests who had found solace within those walls. The hotel deserved to be honored like the cherished home it had become. She approached Mr. Thompson as suite, knocking gently. He opened the door, and his face lit up with a mix of concern and excitement. "You found it, didn't you?" he asked, eyeing the book clutched protectively in her arms. "Yes," she said, determination sparking in her voice. "But it's not just about the hotel anymore. It's about our stories, our history. We need to gather as many voices as we can. We need to share what this place truly means." He nodded slowly, understanding dawning in his expression. "Let us do it. Let us fill the hotel with memories and hope." They sprang into action, spreading the word throughout the community. From grocery stores to schools, they invited everyone to the event, a storytelling night that would celebrate the tapestry of lives intertwined with the hotel. The excitement spread like wildfire, igniting hearts and prompting reminiscing. Soon, they were joined by Sarah, who was ready to help in a heartbeat, and together they brainstormed what would become a beautiful evening of companionship. Finally, the night arrived, and the hotel buzzed with life. Rows of chairs filled the dining area, where flickering candles cast an inviting glow against the walls. Strings of lights twinkled overhead, creating a whimsical atmosphere, while the scent of homemade pies and savory casseroles mingled in the air. Maria stood at the front, her pulse thrumming in time with the room's energy. People filled the seats, their faces eager and familiar. She felt a warm swell inside her as her children, Ethan and Luna, sat in front with wide eyes, excitement bubbling over. "Welcome, everyone," Maria began, her voice slightly shaky but grounding. "Tonight, we come together to share the stories that make Maplewood our home. Stories of laughter, love, and resilience." As she spoke, stories poured forth, joyful remembrances of anniversaries celebrated, the echoes of children playing in the hallways, and the heartbreaking losses felt when the hotel had to close its doors to strangers. Each story was met with nods and murmurs of recognition. This was shared history woven together through every heart in that room. Later, as the evening began to wind down, Mr. Thompson shared his heartfelt tale of how he came to own the hotel and the dreams he harbored for it. Cheers erupted when he declared, "We cannot let anyone take away what is ours." A resounding agreement filled the air. Then, something shifted. A woman slowly stood up, her hands trembling. "I have a story," she said, her voice small at first but finding strength in the supportive stares resting on her. "My grandmother loved this hotel. It was where she celebrated her marriage, where my father was born. We didn't know about the secrets, about what was dark. But we loved it anyway." As stories continued to pour in, Maria felt the truth wrap around her like a blanket. This wasn't just a fight for a building. It was a fight for their history, their very essence. Hours later, with the sun falling asleep behind the hotel, the audience erupted in applause. Joy mingled with tears, binding them all together as one community, one family. They had shared their pain, but, more importantly, they had shared their love. In that moment, Maria understood the darkness the old man spoke of had been confronted by the light of their stories. Together, they had transformed fear into resolve, weaving a tapestry of resistance strong enough to withstand any threat. Later that evening, Maria stood outside the hotel, arms crossed, as Sarah and Mr. Thompson joined her in reflecting on the night. "This is only the beginning," she said, her heart radiating with hope. "We'll protect this place. Together, we will make sure it continues to be a home." "Yes," Mr. Thompson replied, a smile breaking the solemnity on his face. "Whatever it takes, we stand united." As they turned to face the hotel, with its flickering lights shining like stars across its elegant facade, Maria exhaled, letting the weight of worry lift. Her heart, once filled with dread, now brimmed with possibility. They had formed a coalition of strength, and the battle for the hotel was no longer just hers. With renewed spirit, Maria whispered a simple promise to herself to uphold their memories and fight for the future. And this time, they would not be silenced. Now is the moment to support the heartwarming stories shared here. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let the world see the power of community. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible transformation. Your support is everything. Only true fans understand the importance of these actions. Let us keep our community growing.